So, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is on the way, and with it is sure to come a plethora of exciting Smash content. I mean, seriously, there is so much stuff in this. Like the Echo Fighters, Daisy, Richter Belmont, Dark Samus, Chrom. We're be getting a lot of new faces in this game. And I think we're gonna get a lot more Echo Fighters, because they're probably fairly easy to add. And with the new thing that they don't have to 100% be a clone of one character anymore, like how Chrom is basically a Roy clone but with Ike's up B, that opens the door for a whole lot more characters. So in this video we're going to be taking a look at some of the Echo Fighters that I think will be making it into Smash Bros. Ultimate, but also a whole bunch of characters that I think would be good Echo Fighters. So let's get underway. First up is a character that's already been confirmed to not be an Echo Fighter, but just an alternate skin for some reason, and it's Alf from Pikmin 3. He's been in Smash Bros. As an alt skin since the last games, alt skin for Olimar, which I've always found weird because I'm pretty sure Sakurai said that Lucina and Dark Pit got their own slots in Smash 4 because they had like different aspects than Marth and Pit, and to that I ask, does Alf not? I mean, he has rock Pikmin instead of purple and white Pikmin, so that makes him different enough from Olimar already to warrant his own slot, I'd say. So yeah, Sakurai, we want Alf, no purple Pikmin, no white Pikmin, give him those rocky things, and then we'll have all the Pikmin reps we'll ever need. Now, the next character I want to discuss is an Echo Fighter for Sonic. For some reason, everyone seems to have their mind set to getting Shadow. And yeah, I guess I can see that happening, but I don't really care much for Shadow. I think there's a character that would fulfill the role as a Sonic Echo Fighter much better than that personification of teenage angst, and it's actually one of Nintendo's own characters, namely Dylan from Dylan's Rolling Western, a series of 3DS games that have flown way under the radar, mainly because they've not been getting physical releases for some reason. But yeah, as you can see, Dylan is an armadillo, so yeah, he curls into a ball and rolls around pretty much just like Sonic does. And he has the same body proportions as Sonic, similar body type. I think he could pretty much just copy Sonic's moveset one-on-one entirely. The only things I can imagine that could be a bit problematic are Sonic's up B with the spring. But there's a solution for that. In Dylan's games, there's an enemy type called a Spring Rock, which, I mean, look at it. It's basically a rocky spring. Yeah, Dylan fights rock monsters in his games, by the way. So you could just put in one of those instead of the spring for the up B. Works just like a charm. Of course, the final smash will have to be changed because Dylan can't really go Super Saiyan. Instead, I think they should do something like Duck Hunt's final smash, where they bring in all of Dylan's awesome friends, and they just go full-on firing squad on whoever happens to be in the way. That would be really, I mean, look at these character designs. These, maybe not the goofy gopher dude in the bottom right, but the other ones are solid 10 out of 10 character designs. I mean, would you not want these characters in Smash Bros? Come on. And let's face it, Dylan is pretty much a better character than Shadow in every way, shape, or form. Next up is a real easy one, and I think one that many people would be fine with: Dry Bowser as a Bowser Echo Fighter. The only real obstacle I can imagine for this one is that Dry Bowser really isn't much of a character. I mean, he doesn't really have a whole lot of personality in any of his appearances. He's basically just the skeletal version of Bowser. And maybe that could keep him as an alternate costume instead. Or maybe he's just not going to be in the game altogether, which I think would be a huge waste, because he's, I mean, his design's pretty cool. Played as him a lot in the Mario Kart games, in which he has some really cool sound effects, like roars and grunts and all that stuff, which I really wouldn't mind appearing in Smash Bros. Either. So yeah, Dry Bowser, let's make it happen, Sakurai. Next up, we have not one, but two Echo Fighters for Zelda. First of which is Princess Hilda from Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. They could do this. I mean, it's a pretty easy one to do, probably, but I can also see them just making an alternate color for Zelda that references this. Because it's a pretty minor character. I think she was only ever in one game. I don't remember if she was in Hyrule Warriors or not. But yeah, either an alternate color for Zelda, maybe an alternate costume with a different name like how Alf has been unjustly treated, or perhaps an Echo Fighter, but I think the most likely Echo Fighter for Zelda would be Toon Zelda. I mean, according to the code, I believe she was supposed to be in Brawl, but got cut for some reason. And it's not like Zelda is not already partially based on, like, the Toon Zelda games. I mean, hell, the Down B is pretty much exactly, I think that's from, like, Spirit Tracks, which is something that Toon Zelda already does. So yeah, Toon Zelda would be a nice addition for Toon Link. And I mean, what other Zelda characters could we possibly get anymore? Up next is an Echo Fighter for Villager, and it's the one everyone's been guessing and everyone's expecting to make it in. It's Isabelle. Numerous leaks have mentioned her, I don't know how legit those are, but let's face it, it's a very likely character. The assist trophy is surprisingly AWOL. And she's probably not going to be an original character because, let's face it, there's only so much you can pull from Animal Crossing to make a moveset out of. And Villager probably already took up, like, 95% of that, so Isabelle, probably Echo Fighter, very likely. Would not be surprised at all if she makes it in. Up next is probably the single laziest, least amount of effort required Echo Fighter on this list. And I'm talking so lazy that Sakurai could take his laptop into the bathroom, probably finish this one before he finishes taking a dump. I'm talking about Miss Pac-Man. Basically, take Pac-Man, slap a bow on him, some lipstick, some eye gloss, or eyeshadow, or whatever the hell that stuff's called. Put on some, maybe some higher boots, and there we go, new Echo Fighter. I don't think anyone really wants Miss Pac-Man or cares much for Miss Pac-Man, but, I mean, it could happen. Definitely would not require a lot of effort from Sakurai to get this one done. And I don't know, maybe Namco really wants it for some reason. Though, I imagine if we're gonna get another Namco character, Mishima or something. Much more likely than Miss Pac-Man, I'd say. Up next, we have Jeanne from Bayonetta, as a Bayonetta Echo Fighter, obviously. I mean, could happen, she looks pretty similar to Bayonetta, probably copy the moveset one-on-one. But I'm not really sure it would be good for the game. Last thing the game needs is another ridiculously broken character, another balancing nightmare. Although, on the upside, it would make all those Bayonetta mirror matches a lot more interesting by turning them into Bayonetta vs. Jeanne mirror matches in every grand finals of every Super Smash Bros. Tournament ever. But hey, it's something, it's another character. People probably want it. Up next, you had to know this one was coming as soon as people saw Richter Belmont. It's Ken from Street Fighter, pretty much the quintessential clone character in a fighting game, I guess. I mean, it's just so obvious. Ryu works really well in the game, adding Ken would be pretty easy because he's really not all that different from Ryu at all. I guess we could also get Akuma as a Ryu Echo Fighter, but I think they're just a bit too different to make Akuma a decent Echo Fighter. Although, to be honest, I personally prefer Chun-Li over both of them. As a unique fighter, of course, not an Echo. But if we're sticking to Echo Fighters for another Street Fighter rep, it's 100% going to be Ken. No doubt about it. Up next, we have one that could easily be a unique character, but I could also see it working as a bit of an amalgamation between Mario, the Ice Climbers, and Yoshi. What character could he possibly mean, you must be thinking? Well, I'm talking about Paper Mario. Yeah, before you get all on my ass about Paper Mario being an Echo Fighter, it could work. I mean, he uses a hammer a lot in the Paper Mario games, so let's give him pretty much all the normal moves from the Ice Climbers. Just maybe throw a couple Mario ones in there to spice things up a little. Let's also give him the Ice Climbers side B, and then we'll keep Mario's neutral B and up B, those work fine for Paper Mario. Down B is where Yoshi comes in, because neither Mario's nor Ice Climber's down B makes a whole lot of sense for Paper Mario, but Yoshi's ground pound definitely does. So yeah, Paper Mario. Pretty much all the Ice Climber's normal moves, some of Mario's specials, Mario's throws can definitely be kept, those work fine, and Yoshi's down B to finish it up. Or could just be a unique fighter altogether, which I would also be entirely fine with, as long as Paper Mario just makes it in somehow. Up next is another one that I think is on a lot of people's lists, and it's Dixie Kong as an Echo Fighter of Diddy Kong. Not 100% a clone though, I think there's stuff from other DK characters. Like, the main thing that from Diddy's moveset that doesn't work for Dixie is his up B, the rocket barrels. So, what they could do, give her DK's up B, just with the ponytail instead of the arm twirling, or give her King K. Rool's up B, but just with the ponytail instead of the propeller jetpack thing that he has. And there we go, perfectly good moveset for Dixie. Hell, I even found out that in the Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze game, they gave Dixie some kind of gun that shoots bubblegum, so hell, Diddy's neutral B could work just fine, just have it shoot bubblegum instead of peanuts. And, I mean, I guess Dixie could always be a unique character, but I feel they wouldn't add two unique DK newcomers in one game. I think King K. Rool is definitely way more hype than Dixie could ever be, so I think an Echo Fighter status would be appropriate to kind of match that hype level. While we're on the topic of Donkey Kong characters, how about we add another one? Let's have Smash Bros. Ultimate get funky by throwing Funky Kong into the mix as an Echo Fighter of DK. I mean, look at Funky. He's basically DK 100% as, like, body type wise. Moveset would work just fine. Like, maybe have him twirl his surfboard for the up B instead of spinning around or something. But the properties could be the same, and all of DK's other moves work just fine. Funky Kong is a cool character, nice personality. And then they could even add the whole new funky mode thing on the box arts. That's still one of my favorite memes from back in the day. Now, let's talk Captain Falcon. We all know the F-Zero franchise has been really ridiculously neglected throughout Smash Bros. History. Getting one character in the first game and then basically nothing ever. But there could be some Echo Fighter potential for the good old Captain. First thought would be Blood Falcon, but that's just no. I mean, he looks exactly the same as Captain Falcon, he has the same voice as Captain Falcon. Just, what's the point? Just keep that as a color scheme, maybe give him the Alf treatment, but Blood Falcon should not have a slot in my opinion. Black Shadow, on the other hand, could work. I mean, let's face it, all the F-Zero characters ever do is basically sit in their cars in the F-Zero games. So not a whole lot of moveset potential for Black Shadow either. Might as well just make him a Captain Falcon clone then. Although he might be intruding on Ganondorf's territory a bit with the whole, you know, slower, heavier version of Captain Falcon shtick. Even though Ganondorf has been distancing himself from that more and more lately. But yeah, Black Shadow could work. I think he had a decent following for the ballot, so I don't know, maybe Sakurai took notice. And hey, it's another villain. He's been adding a lot of villains so far. So who knows, maybe it could be Black Shadow's time to shine. However, there's another Echo Fighter for Captain Falcon that I think would work perfectly. And it's a character from outside of F-Zero. Namely, a Pokemon. The 3rd generation Firestarter, Blaziken. I mean, look at Captain Falcon's moveset. Everything works for Blaziken. Neutral B, Fire Punch. Side B, Sky Uppercut. Up B, some move. It doesn't look weird on Blaziken. Down B, Blaze Kick. It just works. Give him some kind of cinematic final smash with Mega Blaziken, and you've got another pretty good Pokemon character. I mean, hell, I pretty much wanted Blaziken in since Brawl. Because he's a very popular Pokemon, after all. Pretty much one of the Gen 3 mascots, and we don't have a Gen 3 rep yet. And we're not likely to get another one, so might as well have Blaziken in there. Now let's stick with Pokemon for a little bit, because there is one Pokemon that I think would be a really good Echo Fighter for Lucario, and that would be the latest Generation 7 event Pokemon, Zeraora. Just look at it, it's very similar to Lucario as far as body shape and proportions go, so it could work with Lucario's moveset. Just get rid of the aura mechanic, and turn all of his like aura visual effects into electric visual effects. Neutral B could be Electro Ball. Side B could be, I don't know, Thunder Punch or whatever. And hell, it can learn Double Team and Quick Attack, so up B and down B could be covered as well. And I mean, Zeraora, when you think about it, it's basically the Gen 7 Lucario anyway. Kind of furry humanoid, stars in a movie. I mean, if we're getting a Gen 7 rep, I'm still personally rooting for Decidueye. Or hell, maybe even Incineroar. But I'd say Zeraora is a pretty good cover option as well. Another Pokemon character that could receive a pretty cool Echo Fighter in my opinion is Pichu. I know what you're thinking, Pichu, the joke character, but hear me out. I'm talking about Plusle and Minton. They've been rumored to have been planned for Brawl but cut for some reason, and I think they could work as a pretty cool fighter. Based on Pichu's moveset, but kinda with the whole Ice Climber gimmick. How there's two of them, one of them controlled by the AI. That'd be I think a pretty cool addition. And they could even have this gimmick where they have, you know how Plusle and Minton have the ability plus and minus in the Pokemon games, which means their attacks hit much harder if you use them together in a double battle or something. So how about they hit really hard in Smash Bros. When they're together, but when they're separated or when one of them's dead, they are ridiculously weak, like even weaker than Pichu or Jigglypuff or whatever. I think that'd be a really cool gimmick for a character to have, and Plusle and Minton would probably be the best recipients of that gimmick. In addition, I think it's time to complete the evolution line. Let's add Raichu as an Echo Fighter or Pikachu. Cause, let's face it, has there ever been a character more neglected than OG Raichu? The answer would be yes, that would be Waluigi, but Raichu definitely is a close second. I mean, we already have Alolan Raichu as a Pokeball Pokemon, so regular Raichu could work as a fighter. Pikachu's moveset would work just fine. Maybe throw in some Mewtwo or Charizard attacks for, you know, the tail, which I think Pikachu might be a bit lacking in when it comes to tail attacks. I mean, you could give him like a sweet spot mechanic, where the lightning bolt part of his tail hits extra hard, and the rest doesn't. I think it could work. Bit more of a, I wouldn't say heavyweight, but heavier variant of Pikachu, maybe make him a bit slower. Let's just make sure something good happens to Raichu for once. Another amalgamation Echo Fighter I think would be pretty cool would be Birdo. Pretty much her entire moveset would be based on Yoshi, but Yoshi's Neutral B would not work for Birdo. So instead, let's replace that with Bowser Jr.'s Neutral B, the one where he kind of charges up and then shoots out a cannonball. Just replace the cannonball with an egg. Because that's basically what Birdo did in her first appearance, just shoot out eggs non-stop. I think that would work, be a pretty easy character to implement, and another nice addition to the Mario/Yoshi lineup. Up next, there is another character that I think they should give the Chrom treatment. Let's throw Minton into the game, the protagonist of the first Mother game, because we already have the other two, and that franchise is dead as a doornail, so we're not gonna get another one. Might as well just make sure we have all three protagonists then. Just make him a mix of Ness and Lucas and call it a day. And now for another Kirby rep. I think Galactonite would be a nice, quick and easy Echo Fighter of Meta Knight. He's basically one of the only few remaining recurring characters that the Kirby franchise even has. I mean, I guess there's always Bandana Waddle Dee, but I think he'd be better suited as a unique fighter instead of an Echo. Galactonite, just copy-paste Meta Knight, change some stuff, some properties, and that's another good Kirby rep right there. Now let's talk Kid Icarus. We already have an Echo Fighter for Pit, but how about one for Palutena? Better yet, how about 2 Echo Fighters for Palutena? We could have Viridi, who... Admittedly, I haven't beaten Kid Icarus Uprising. I played it for like a few chapters, and then the garbage-ass control scheme got the better of me. So I don't think I even played up to the point in the game where Viridi shows up, but from the conversations on the Kid Icarus stage in Smash Wii U, I think she's a pretty fun character. She could work with Palutena's moveset, just smaller, a little less range on a few attacks, maybe lighter, even lighter. I think Palutena wasn't even all that heavy to begin with. And if not Viridi, then we could always go for Medusa, also from Kid Icarus Uprising, who could also work with Palutena's moveset. I mean, both Viridi and Medusa have staffs, they have magic, they could easily... Sakurai could easily make it work, especially considering these are his characters. Like, he knows this, he can make this work somehow. And lastly, let's talk Little Mac. Now, you'd be thinking, couldn't any Punch-Out character just work as an Echo Fighter for Little Mac? And to that I say no. Most Punch-Out characters are kind of way too quirky. They kind of have their own distinct movements and that sort of thing, which is why I think they wouldn't really work with Little Mac's moveset. With the exception of one. Although I'm not counting all the ones from Super Punch-Out, because I never played that, and most of those characters looked really lame anyway. I'm talking about the big bad of Punch-Out Wii, Mr. Sandman. I think Mr. Sandman could work as a Little Mac Echo because he's kind of the only fighter in Punch-Out Wii that doesn't really have a whole lot of quirks. He's not really all that goofy, he's just dead serious about beating you to a pulp. And he doesn't really move in a whole lot of unorthodox ways like, say, Great Tiger or King Hippo, or Soda Popinski, or Bald Bull, or whatever. Mr. Sandman would work as, like, probably a Ganondorf-esque as far as speed and weight goes. Probably even worse recovery than Little Mac, so if he gets off the stage, he would absolutely be dead 100%. I think that could work. And even then, there's another Little Mac Echo Fighter from outside of Punch-Out that could work. Although it's probably not gonna happen because it's not really a very relevant character compared to the rest of its franchise. I'm talking about Hitmonchan. Yeah, I mean, it could work with Little Mac's moveset, definitely. It's just that Hitmonchan is not particularly popular as far as Pokemon go. He's not particularly important to the Pokemon franchise, he's just kind of there. Although, let's admit, it would 100% be awesome if Hitmonchan was a Little Mac Echo Fighter. Little Mac is probably my main character, and I would definitely play Hitmonchan as well in that scenario. So there we have it, those are a few of the fighters that I think could work really well as Echo Fighters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Let me know in the comments what you think, which Echo Fighters or new characters you'd like to see. And I, for one, can't wait until December rolls around and we can all play this awesome game, because let's face it, it's probably going to be one of the greatest freaking games ever.